Marvels will fix a huge Marvel Universe problem. No, I'm not kidding. Let's see what the Cosmic Wonder has to say about this. Check this out.
What if I told you that the film The Marvels is actually going to fix a big problem a lot of fans have had with the Marvel Cinematic Universe lately? And no, I'm not kidding. To my surprise, I have actually seen a lot of hype for The Marvels, aka Captain Marvel 2, which comes as a pleasant surprise, because a lot of people do really like to dog on the first Captain Marvel film, in which I even have to say myself, I wasn't the biggest fan of. However, I will say that The Marvels does truly look like it's going to be a great movie. But here's the kicker: regardless of how the movie does, regardless of whether it is good or it is bad, it's going to fix a problem that a lot of fans have had with the MCU lately. And it's going to do it in a pretty big way, and that is connectivity, or rather, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
big connectivity. Because we have had connectivity in the MCU, it's just not on a very large scale. Take Miss Marvel, for example. It connected to Captain Marvel. She is a Captain Marvel superfan. They went to Avengers Con. It connected to the overall MCU. We just didn't, at the time, see that it had any really huge impact. The same thing goes for WandaVision. It connected to Multiverse of Madness. It set the whole thing up. But what fans have been missing is that connectivity to the overall huge threat that a big bad would have for a saga. And not to mention, Phase 4 opened with huge multiversal implications with Loki. And that hasn't really been addressed too much, except for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, in which it didn't even reference the events of Loki, they just simply mentioned incursions, and they jumped across the multiverse a little bit. However, the Marvels is going to connect, and it's going to set up a lot moving forward in the MCU. In fact, this is going to directly connect to Avengers Kang Dynasty. So let's talk about how this could fix that big connectivity problem that Marvel
Mm-hmm.
Studios seems to be having right now. But first, if you're new, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. Also, if you subscribe and leave a comment, you're automatically entered in our giveaway for a chance to win an Xbox Series X, a PS5, some Marvel Legends items, or some DC items. The winner gets to pick one item, and we pick a winner at the end of each month. What's actually kind of crazy is that if you think about it, Marvel right now with Phase 4, 5, and 6 are kind of doing what they did with Phase 1, 2, and 3. In the Infinity Saga, we weren't introduced to Thanos until the post-credit scene for the first Avengers film. From there, it was another 2 years until we saw Thanos again in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And then we didn't see him again until the next Avengers film, Age of Ultron. And this is kind of where everything started to come together for the Infinity Stone concept and the reveal that Thanos had the Infinity Gauntlet and was actively searching for them now. Marvel Studios right now isn't that far off. They introduced He Who Remains in Loki in Phase 4, the first phase of this new saga. But he wasn't teased as such a big bad yet. He was teased that he could potentially be a huge threat, but since he let Loki and Sylvie kill him and talked about how dangerous his variants were, more dangerous than him, more evil than him, he himself didn't seem like such a big bad at the time, despite his warning of what would happen if they killed him. So that was our first tease of our big bad in the first phase of this new saga. Now we're only a little bit into Phase 5, but we've already had our big bad tease in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Then we're going to get Loki Season 2, and Loki Season 2 is different because we now know how big of a threat Kang is thanks to Loki Season 1 and Ant-Man Quantumania. So here is where our big bad comes into play in a really big way. So if you think about it that way, this saga is kind of on par with the Infinity Saga. Like I mentioned, the only issue that we've run into is nothing else really seems connected to the bigger picture, which is Kang and his variants wanting to take control over the multiverse and causing incursions. The problem is everything feels pretty separated. Multiverse of Madness explored the multiverse but really wasn't connected to Loki. Loki introduced He Who Remains and talked about these evil variants, but Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania didn't seem connected to Loki at all, besides the fact that it was the same actor playing a version of Kang. In theory, this should change with the Marvels based on new information that we have learned about the movie. The first thing that we've learned that is actually quite huge is that there's going to be an incursion in the Marvels, or at least the start of one, with our main universe at that. If what we have recently heard from some insiders is true, Monica Rambeau in the trailer for the Marvels will be investigating an incursion. So at the beginning of the teaser trailer where Monica Rambeau goes up to some type of a wall that is in space, it looks to be some type of energy wall or a hex gate. Well, this is actually an incursion wall. According to the insider Cryptic HD quality. This is what we will see happen in the Marvels. A hole is ripped in space and time, and a different reality starts seeping into the world. This is an incursion, and apparently this is when we are first going to see two realities start to fuse together. And this is huge. This is going to be one of the things that makes the MCU finally feel like everything is coming together. Since Loki, the multiverse has been teased, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness showed us that incursions can happen, but we have yet to experience any of that in our personal universe. Speaking of the 616 universe. But that is all apparently about to change if what we are hearing is true. And we have good reason to believe it's true because producers for the Marvels have even come out and teased us a little bit on what exactly is going to happen in the Marvels and how it sets up Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Well, first and foremost, the director Nia DaCosta said, "You'll get enough of the story of how and why Dar-Benn has acquired the bangle." Then one of the producers for the Marvels, Mary Lavanos, said this, "In Miss Marvel, we learned that the bangle, paired with some other form of power, can force a temporary hole in space and time to lead to somewhere else. With the power of both bangles, more is definitely possible. And we see the culmination of that over the course of this movie. It definitely leads to plentiful opportunities for the future of the MCU, whatever the Avengers and Secret Wars teams may want to do with them." So it seems like they are severely hinting that these two bangles, when used together, can open a rift in space and time, and that can lead to jumping to another universe. And this makes sense because it truly does seem like the bangles are Kang technology. And if that is true, Kang has probably used these to jump through space and time. So that's another huge connection that is going to happen in the Marvels. We will start to kind of learn how Kang is able to do what he does. Plus, not to mention, the bangles are connected to the 10 rings. We found that out during the Marvels, so this will connect back to Shang-Chi as well. And of course, obviously, it's connecting to Miss Marvel. So not only is the Marvels connecting to a lot of previous projects that we've already seen, but it's going to connect to a lot of future projects, and it's going to directly set up Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars, according to the producers of the movie. And last but not least, take this with a grain of salt, but we've heard a rumor that Kang, or at least his eyes, are going to be appearing in one of the post-credit scenes for the Marvels. This is unconfirmed at the time, so take it with a grain of salt, but if this is true, then the Marvels will even further connect everything, past, present, and future of the MCU together. So I know a lot of people weren't really expecting the Marvels to be that huge of a movie, but based off of everything that we've heard so far, it is indeed going to be huge and have serious implications for the future of the MCU. And I, for one, am personally really excited to start to see all of the Kang connections finally come together and to finally see an incursion start to happen in our universe. That's one of the biggest things that makes this movie so important, the arrival of an actual incursion, because that sets up Secret Wars. So this is where it's about to feel super real, where we'll start to feel the presence of Kang the Conqueror being the big bad, and the presence of the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars coming right around the corner. So hopefully this takes Marvel fans' excitement to a completely new level after this movie comes out, and hopefully it's going to be a really great movie. But if what we're hearing is true, this should fix that Marvel connectivity problem that people have been complaining about. We shouldn't feel like things aren't connecting after this film. This should bring it all together. And Marvel has a lot of really awesome projects planned for after the Marvels. So perhaps this truly will be the film that makes the MCU kind of turn around in its current point. That, combined with Marvel Studios' new plan to make Disney Plus shows kind of feel like these big events, it seems like the MCU really is about to take a big turn for the better. And moving forward, since there is an incursion happening in the MCU, we can expect other projects to possibly address this and connect to Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars as well. So hold on to your hope and get excited for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars should be absolutely insane, and everything that is going to happen in between and even before. But go ahead and let us know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. If this all happens, if it's all starting to get connected, do you think this will fix that kind of empty hole in people's stomachs that people have been feeling due to the lack of connectivity in the MCU? Will it be resolved if everything that has been rumored to happen actually happens in this movie? Go ahead and let us know all of your thoughts about this in the comments down below. And of course, don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest MCU news. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.
Please subscribe, like this video. Have a great day, and please subscribe and Thanks so much for watching. Please like this video and see you guys. Bye.